and came along, and Mama said, you better change your ways. Take off your magic bracelet, or you'll regret it all your days. Let him be Mr. Everything. You just be sweet and smile. No man likes Wonder Woman cramping up his style. So be a cling and bind, a cling and bind. If you lean on his shoulder, everything will be fine. Just be a cling and bind, that's what she said to me. A vine looks prettiest clinging to a tree. I put away my childhood days. Wonder Woman, I've been told to trade in my magic bracelet for a wedding band of gold. And now I'm trying everything to please his loving eye. 'Cause oh, I wanna keep him until the day I die. I'll be a cling and bind, a cling and bind. If I lean on his shoulder, everything will be fine. I'll be a cling and bind, that's what I'm gonna be. A vine is happiest clinging to a tree. So one by one, the years went by. I kept clinging closer every day. And I tried so hard to please him, 'cause I wanted him to stay. I clung to Mr. Everything till he looked me in the eye and said, I think I'm choking. Let go before I die. You're just a cling and bind, a cling and bind. Oh, you hang on my shoulder and you whine all the time. You're just a cling and bind, so I've gotta get free. Don't you know a cling and bind can kill a tree? Hello, Wonder Woman. Goodbye, clinging vine. I'm coming, Wonder Woman, to repossess what's mine. I want my magic bracelet, the lasso made of gold, to help collect the royalties when my sad story's told. I was a cling and bind, a cling and bind. Oh, I leaned on his shoulder thinking things would be fine. I was a cling and bind until I lost my tree. Now I'm leaning on the wind and hanging free. Now I'm leaning on the wind and hanging free. Leaning on the wind and hanging free.
That's better. You know something? About this next person, it can be said that if there's an award, she's won it. The Drama League of New York, the Tony, the Emmy, the Grammy, and the Oscar. If there's a good cause, she has supported it. She's been bestowed with a multitude of honorary degrees from various renowned universities. But tonight, we have the greatest honor of all, because tonight we have Miss Helen Hayes with us.
Thank you, thank you. Oh, don't I wish I could reward you with a bit more of that singing. Well, I've been so impatient to get on here, I could hardly wait. To just to stand on the platform where I have heard such great wisdom, so beautifully presented, and where I have seen a show that makes the Broadway professional theater look a little limp. Maybe the ladies who presented this show should march right down to Manhattan and take over the New York theater. I'm here to make a presentation. You know, before I do, I have sometimes, and from time to time, I hear myself called an institution. Institution. Every time I hear the word, I feel like a turn-of-the-century building where the wind whistles down the halls, stirring up stacks of old reviews. I'm an actress. I've been an actress for 72 years. And not by any stretch of the imagination is anybody going to turn me into an institution. I think we all resist categories of some fashion or other every day, and that resistance is the stuff of real drama. What we saw earlier tonight, through the first 150 years of New York women's history in Family Reunion. Now we're going to have a look at our future, and I hope there won't be any institutions in sight there. Here to lead us on that journey is my dear friend and colleague, the gracious, the lovely, the talented Celeste Holm.
Back in 1945, there was a show on Broadway which was about Dolly Bloomer, who stirred it all up in Seneca Falls. Only we called it Cicero Falls in the show, and I played her niece. And I was a feminist, and I wrecked my father's hoop skirt business in the show. And this was the song I sang. Grandma was the lady, she sewed and cleaned and cooked. She scrubbed her pots and raised her tots, the dear old gal was hooked. She stitched her little stitches, her life was applesauce. The thing that wore the breeches was boss. Yes, the thing that wore the breeches was boss. She had no voice in government, and bondage was her state. She only knew what love meant from 8 to 8:30, and that's a hell of a state. Good enough for Grandma, that good old gal with her frills and her feathers and fuss. It was good enough for Grandma, good enough for Grandma, but it ain't good enough for us. When Granny was a lassie, that tyrant known as man thought woman's place was just the space around a frying pan. He made the world his oyster, now it ain't worth a cuss. That oyster he can't foister on us. No, that oyster he can't foister on us. What do I say? What do I say? Right. Our brains against his muscle, our tea against his rum. Look behind the bustle for the shape of things to come. Join up with pipe and drum. It was good enough for Grandma, that good old gal with her frills and her feathers and fuss. It was good enough for Grandma, good enough for Grandma, but it ain't good enough for us. We won the revolution in in 7076. Who says it's nix for us to tricks our sex with politics? We bigger worlds ceaseless women and bigger worlds to slice. Oh, sisters, are we women or mice? Oh, sisters, are we women or mice? Look twice before you step on the fair sex of the earth. Beware our secret weapon. We could stop giving birth. Take that for what it's worth. Oh, it was good enough for Grandma. That good old gal with her frill and feathers and fuss. It was good enough for Grandma. Good enough for Grandma, but it ain't good enough for us. No, it ain't good enough for us. No, sir. Thank you. A lot of people liked that song when I did it back 32 years ago. I haven't done it since. But I wonder how many people really went out and did something about changing the way things were for women. My own grandmother was a suffragette. I only found out yesterday that word was a put down. She was a suffragist, yes. Fighting for votes for women, thinking that that would straighten out the inequalities. So in that tradition, I'm here to try, as we all are, to find ways to fulfill those still unmet promises. It is my great pleasure to introduce to you a number of wonderful women who are not only in the business of entertainment, but much, much more. Here is Martha Greenhouse, president of the New York local of the American Federation of Radio and Television Artists. And Beth Holland, who is working on the National Women's Committee of the Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA to provide more and better roles to improve the media image of women. I'm sure you all know Hattie Winston, who lights up millions of homes every day in the electric company. And Vinie Burrows comes to us from her own marvelous one-woman show on the history of black women and men. Kathryn Grody is active in all forms of theater, has worked with women in prison, and is active in the cause of amnesty. You've seen Rosalind Harris on both the stage and the screen, but I'm sure you'll recognize Tzeitel in the film version of Fiddler on the Roof. And Thelma Lee, who has just appeared in the Broadway revival as Zero Mostel's co-star in Fiddler on the Roof. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you. Now, to help me narrate this second collage, here is a great activist, feminist, Academy Award winner, and my partner, Susan B. Anthony, Kim Hunter.
Thank you, Celeste. In years gone by, a lot of those activists who worked for human rights often had a very lonely time of it. But their determination and courage inspired others to join them until they had grown into a vast movement, and things finally began to change. One of our latter-day pioneers is here with us to read a poem she has written. It's my honor to present one of the great stars of our time. Her work and her commitment to others has been an inspiration to all of us. Ruby Dee.
Calling all women, calling all women, calling all righteous women to steal away to our secret place. Have a meeting face to face. Look at the facts and determine our pace. Calling all women. We want to reach first and second and third world women. Come together. Women inside, outside the power structure. Working women. welfare women, women who feel alienated and isolated, women who are all frustrated, who have given up women, women questioning women, women unpolarized and unorganized, ostracized, tired of being and penalized. Come, help us start to bridge the gaps, racial, cultural, or generation. We want action, not veneration. These men, they just ain't doing it. They've had hundreds of years, now they're about to ruin it. Kitchen, office, ex-prison women, singing, dancing, diapering women, old and young and middle-aged women. Take a subway, grab a cab, ride a bike, or pick them up and lay them down. Just make this scene. Now is the time for convolutions. Let's all search and find solutions. Here and now and futurism. We just can't afford a schism. We got to get together or die.
As a matter of course, in Libya, the men curled their hair and tended the children and mopped the floor and bangled their bracelets and kept the pot fires burning as a matter of Libyan course. For if they did not, who would?
Somebody almost walked off with all of my stuff. Not my poems or a dance I gave in the street, but somebody almost walked off with all of my stuff, like a kleptomaniac was working hard and forgetting while stealing, this is mine. This ain't your stuff. Put me back and let me hang out in my own self. Somebody almost walked off with all of my stuff and didn't care enough to send a note home saying I was gonna be late for my solo conversation or 2 sizes too small for my own tacky skirts. Now what can anybody do with my stuff? Hey man, hey, where you going with all my stuff? This is a woman's trip, and I need my stuff to ooh and ah about. This is mine. I see you hiding in my laugh and how I sit with my legs open sometimes to give my crotch some sunlight. And there goes my love and my toes and my chewed up fingernails. I want my stuff back, my own rhythm and my voice. You can't have me lest I give me away. And I was doing all that till you ran off on a good thing. I want my own things, how I live them. Hey, and give me my memories, what it was to be me, how I was when I was there. You can't have it. You can't have it, and you can't do nothing to it. Hey, stealing my shit from me don't make it yours, it makes it stolen. And I was standing there looking at myself the whole time, and it wasn't no spirits that took my stuff. It was a man whose ego walked around like Rodin's shadow, was a man faster than my own innocence, was a lover I made too much room for. And somebody almost ran off with all of my stuff. And I was shouting, this is mine. And he don't even know he got it. My stuff. Did you hear me? I said my stuff is the anonymous ripped off treasure of this year. Hey man, this is not your prerogative. I gotta have me in my pocket to get around like a good woman should. And make the poem in the pot or chicken the dance. What I got to do, I got to have my stuff to do it too. Now, why don't you find your own things and leave this package of me for my own destiny? What you gotta get from me, hey, I'll give it to you. I will give it to you. I will give it to you round 5 o'clock in the winter. When the sky is blue-red and Deuce City is getting pressed. Now, if it's really my stuff you got to give it to me. And if you want it, I am the only one that can handle it. Now, get to that.
Once there was a poor fisherwoman and her husband. They lived in a hut on a rocky cliff. Early each morning, the fisherwoman arose and went out in the boat, while the house husband mended nets and stirred the iron pot. One day, the fisherwoman caught a magic fish.
Wow! You must be some kind of magic fish.
I'm glad you noticed. What's more, I'm prepared to grant you 3 wishes if you don't eat me. Just throw me back into the sea.
Do I need to tell you that that's exactly what the fisherwoman did? She loosened the net, and the magic fish leapt joyfully back into the sea, full of a